Alright, so this is the first of probably quite a few videos I'm going to be doing of the build progress of the tank I'm building. I posted a few pictures online, a few folks took some interest into it, and I thought I'd do a video log of the build progress, also to help myself get it finished. I started it a few years ago, kind of working on it off and on. I'd work on it for a week or two, then it'd sit for a month. So it's not as complete as I would hope, but now that I got my new shop set up, I can actually get some real work done to it. As you can see, it's pretty large. It's 4 feet long by about 3 feet wide. Not sure the height, I would say. Let's measure it. So, about a foot tall in its current state, plus when I get the roll cage built, so probably about 1.5 feet tall when it's finished. We'll start with the front here. The front rollers, front wheels. These are 5-inch plastic. I couldn't find any metal ones the right size for the price I was looking at, so hopefully these will hold out fine. They seem to be pretty durable. Those ride on a 1/2-inch shaft, which will be welded to the center square tubing here. This actually has a live tensioner on it, so this tube goes inside this outer tube, so it can reciprocate in and out to allow for track tensioning. That's done with a 7-inch gas spring or gas shock, and there's also about a 4-inch traditional compression spring inside there, so that allows it to compensate for suspension travel and whatnot. This front suspension setup I'm redesigning. I originally had it with a suspension arm facing forward, kind of akin to the Sherman tank, but I found with my suspension testing that going over an object, it had a hard time going up and forward over the object, so I decided with the traditional swoop back suspension, it seems a little more smooth. So currently in the process of redesigning that. Suspension arms are 1-inch steel tubing. Pretty much the whole frame is built out of it. You can kind of get an idea of the thickness. I'm not sure what gauge it is, but I've got 4-inch metal wheels, bearing supported. I have 100 Newton cabinet door shocks that I have, but I found they weren't stiff enough to hold the tank up. So I had to buy some 120 Newton springs. They're stainless steel. I machined a couple of copper end caps just to hold on to it, so that gives it the stiffness that I need. And it works thusly. Works pretty well, everything's nice and smooth. Moving up, got the track return rollers, same kind of wheels as the road wheels. Mounted it to a simple frame. Those allow the track to roll over smoothly. Get the road wheel out of the way, extra one. Suspension carrier brace. There's going to be 5 total road wheels, all independent. The rear one here, I had to design differently due to the interference with the sprocket. I originally planned to have this further back, but mounting the bearings and everything seemed to be pretty difficult with the way I wanted to do it, so this is how I did it. I had to do a cantilever setup, so these arms here go up to this rocker plates and in turn actuate the shock. And I'll try to do this here so you can see it work. I got a couple different mounting positions. I'll probably drill some more holes in there because these rear and front suspension arms need to be stiffer than the rest of the road wheels. These rollers here are to allow the track to pass over, because I was finding that the track was actually hitting these shocks and the actual plates here, so those allow the track to roll over smooth. Rear sprockets are 50 pitch, 24 tooth I believe. They do not have keyways in them. I bought them unfinished because they were really cheap. I kind of wish I would have spent the money and got the finished bore, but I got what I could. My drive shafts are not keyed anyways. When I bought these, because I had to have a specific spline for the differential, they did not state that they were hollow, but these are chrome moly, so they should be strong enough to hold up. If not, again, I'll be replacing them. These I'll probably just Loctite on it with some bearing retainer that should hold them. Move on to the rear drive shaft. There's 4 3/4 inch pillow block bearings that support the rear drive shaft. In the middle, I have a differential that I got online, pretty cheap. I'm not sure what it was used for, it's just a generic differential. Bought it at Surplus Center, that's where I get a lot of the parts for this tank. For steering, I'm using a couple of pocket bike brake rotors mounted on keyless locking assemblies. So no need for a keyway, and they actually hold on pretty tight with all these screws on here. Kind of cinches that center sleeve down. The plate's actually held on with 3 screws into that. I use pocket bike brake calipers, and that'll allow independent steering of each track, skid steering. There's a shot of one of the pillow block bearings. It's kind of nice because each of these have grease zerks on them, so I can grease up the bearings pretty easily. There's the other suspension carrier. And we'll move on to the interior, the guts. We got 2 49cc 2-stroke pocket bike engines. Got those on eBay pretty cheap. Those are linked to, well, they're going to be linked to a central jack shaft here. So each engine's running to the singular shaft. From there, power is transferred from this sprocket to the gearbox. Sorry about the cables, they're kind of in the way. From here, they move to, power gets transferred to the central dog clutch, which will be actuated by a servo to move it. It's kind of locked up. To move it back and forth into these plates, which have holes in them. So this will be keyed to the drive shaft. So these will be stationary while this shaft is moving. And then by moving this to either side, it'll engage either high speed or low speed. From there, power gets transferred to this sprocket, to the forward and reverse mechanism. Same kind of dog clutch mechanism. Nothing's completed yet. This is all just roughly thrown together. Again, it'll be moving back and forth. There's a traditional forward, and then these gears here are for reverse. As you can see, it'll actually reverse that drive shaft. And then from there, it's powered to that sprocket. It's my rear differential chain tensioner that I made out of a couple bearings. Simple square tubing. I made a spring in there. Just some music wire wound up. That gets transferred to the rear differential. The tracks, I have one built, are 6-inch wide by 3/32, I believe. I'm not really sure. Can't remember. 50 number 50 roller chain, which is just welded onto each link. Works pretty well. Nice and robust. So I still got to build the other track. I got to order more chain for it. But that's pretty much it. Hope you guys liked the video. Like I said, I'll be making more of them as the build progresses. I'll actually be showing the build process for whoever may be interested. But stay tuned and check those out. Thanks.